When you begin to plan a fly fishing trip, the first destination that comes to mind might not be Arkansas, but maybe it should be. After all, Arkansas boasts two distinct mountainous regions with the Ozark Plateau to the north and Ouachita Mountains to the south. But the valleys held within these regions hold a secret. They hold some of the best fly fishing in the nation, and indeed the world. The beautiful rivers and lakes of Arkansas hold an abundant variety of trout and other fish species that make this state, with its warm climate, a prolific year-round sportsman's paradise. And we wanted to showcase some of these amazing habitats by providing just a glimpse at what this often overlooked state has to offer. Of course, to truly understand its bounty, you'll just have to come see for yourself.
When I first arrived here, it didn't take me very long to recognize how special the habitat was, and that it literally stopped me in my tracks. I uprooted, I moved to Arkansas, Cotter, Arkansas. I think one of the things that appealed to me when I first got here and started driving around and checking out the area is that wherever you go, strangers would wave to you. It's kind of insulated from the rest of the country. In terms of, I mean, if you drive around town, it looks like we're 2 decades behind modern civilization, which is a good thing, you know.
Cotter, to me, is a super special place. I mean, not only does it sit on the banks of the White River, you're about 20 or 30 minutes up to Bull Shoals Dam, you're 20 or 30 minutes down to where the North Fork confluences with the White. The fishing culture is rich in Cotter. There's all sorts of fishing guides and trout bums. It's a special place, it always has been. The Rainbow Bridge, just everything about this little town just screams, fly fishing, and that's just what I love.
The allure to me began when I recall reading an article, I want to say about 1991, about a 38-pound brown trout that was caught on the North Fork tailwater. And growing up in Pennsylvania, it was unfathomable to me that Arkansas had such magnificent habitat, and it was obviously before I knew anything about tailwater dynamics.
There's very few places in this country you can go out and catch a rainbow, a brook, a brown, and a cutty all on the same day, all from, on the same float. From Bull Shoals Dam down, you've got about 40 miles before the North Fork River comes in. Well, the North Fork River is a short, sweet princess of a tailwater that pumps in a bunch of cold water for the next 40 miles of river. So we have this incredibly long fishery with trout up and down it in incredibly dense numbers.
It's a very complex and dynamic habitat. It's a massive habitat compared to most trout streams or trout rivers. 90 miles doesn't sound like a lot until you float it and fish it, but it's a massive habitat. You know, you can spend a lifetime here.
I've been fly fishing my whole life. My dad was addicted to fly fishing, and we started fishing when I was about the 3rd grade. I had a 3rd grade teacher that I thought was really awesome that was a fly fisherman, and that was part of the inspiration for me to start tying flies, was to tie my 3rd grade teacher a fly. But anyways, that's another story for another day. I've guided in Arkansas, Alaska, Colorado, and there's something about Arkansas that always kind of pulls me back no matter where I go or where I end up. Arkansas has got a lot of things that make it unique and make it a special fishery. One of them being the fact that it is a true year-round fishery. There's something for everyone, whether you're a beginning fisherman or whether you're an expert fisherman. These fisheries have something for you. The ecosystem is so diverse and the opportunities are so great for your anglers, whatever their goals may be, that's a really cool thing that's really rewarding as a guide. A lot of fisheries, you just don't have that availability.
Water levels commonly vary here from 720 CFS to 26,000 CFS. And on other habitats, most people would park it on the porch. Obviously 26,000 CFS would probably be a flood stage condition on any habitat. And here we go fishing, and it's because the releases are from hydroelectric facilities. From a fly fishing standpoint, trying to process all the information between water release schedules, it's kind of like being handed a Rubik's Cube every morning. Before we go fishing, we have to solve this. Okay, they're starting, at 10 a.m. they're going to release 12,000 CFS. We're in Cotter, 16 miles downriver. It's going to take it, 4 to 5 hours or 6 hours to reach us. And so there's certain conditions that go along with these pulses that we get from the hydroelectric facility. Some of them we want, like if we're filling streamers, we want that rise. We want enough water flow to push these fish to the banks.
Things can't change that much because of that concrete. A big flood happens, boom, the water pushes out and it goes right back to, the way it was before. So that's a really cool thing. Over the past 10 years, I've seen these fisheries ebb and flow, and they'll continue to. We've had probably 400-year floods in the past 10 years. Yet these fish are so resilient. The waters come up and they get muddy and then they go down, and you still catch, gobs of trout and gobs of amazing trout. So the resiliency of these fisheries and these fish is it's incredible. There's been world record after world record that has come out of Arkansas. So There's certainly some legends. The biggest trout I've ever put my hands on came off the White River at 34.5 inches.
Over the last decade, working the river, we see these big fish on the river, and just the thought of, putting one on a fly rod, it was like, would it ever happen? And so, once we started, mousing at night, we started moving the big fish, and that was just a gift from the river. We didn't measure it, we didn't weigh it. To me personally, I don't want to offend the big fish with a scale or a tape. I know they're big, the river knows they're big, the fish know they're big, and that's good enough for me. But I knew that we touched something special that night, and I didn't sleep for 2 days. I tossed and turned. I was like, it was almost like, my soul was electrocuted, I was in shock.
I've been a fly fisherman my whole life, and I live it and I breathe it. And originally, of course, it was just learned from my dad, but the connection that you have with the fishery, with the fish, is just so much more personal and intimate. Everything from tying the fly to building the leader system to the presentation, everything, just the art of it, I guess, is what keeps me attracted to it.
Going back to the allure of the rivers, floating at nighttime in the fog, and there's absolutely no traffic out there whatsoever. So you really, the fishing aside, you really get that, I would say, a once in a lifetime experience. It's just us in the river, and it's not uncommon to hear a pack of coyotes working the banks and raccoons chattering, and yeah, it's a pretty neat thing.
The red, it runs 107 miles, dumps into the White River. You've got about the first 50 miles trout waters, and it's anything from shoals to little deep holes. It's amazing. The stuff you come across, the wildlife you see. You're fishing, you got bald eagles swoop down, you got deer swimming across in front of you. You never know what you're going to see out here. It's like I tell everybody, it's one of Arkansas's best kept secrets. My name is Bo Saunders with Bo's Guide Service. We also have Lobo Landing Resort. We have the marina, cabin rentals, located on the Little Red River. It's Great place for fishing. We do have the longest stretch right through here with low water. Getting skunked on our river, it's not something that really comes into play. We've got our brooks, we've got our browns, and we've got our rainbows. Now, occasionally, you will pull, as we've done before, pull out a bass, a crappie, a pickerel. We moved in here. Wife quit the post office after 8 years. I walked away from a corporate gig after 16 years. You only live once, so why not try it? That way I don't leave anything unanswered, whether or not we can do it or not. And so far, it's better than what we ever thought. One of the main things I love doing is getting out with my son. He's a good kid. It's cool because since he was able to walk, he would go out with me in the boat, hook a little lanyard to his life jacket to my belt. We'd fish, play. They do not stock browns here. And just recently they changed we had a slot, 16 to 24 inches, catch and release. But they've been doing studies year after year, and I went out with them last year on a shock study. And the amount of browns that is in this river is unreal. It's unbelievable. So they took away the slot and allowed to harvest, if people wish to do so, one above 16 inches. Because like an overstocked pond, they're not going to get any bigger. And obviously they want the river to thrive and grow and the fish to get bigger. And we held the world record here for 16 years, 40 pound, 4 ounce. There's more in here. They're here. It's just they don't get big for being stupid. The river, it calms me. Like I said, 16 years corporate world, suit and tie, and obviously none of this ginger love, so I call it. But it just calms me, and I love it as a guide. I get the clients in my boat, and I especially love kids. You get a kid and you get them out here and they've never fished, and all of a sudden they catch a trout and they're, as soon as they hook, I'm looking at their face. And to me, that's the satisfaction, because they're forever going to remember that. They're forever going to remember me. That's one thing. It's not really, it is about catching fish. We will catch fish. But the bigger picture is making the memories. The memories last forever. You come out here, and I've said in statements before, I catch fish, we release them. One day my son will catch the same fish I caught.
wanted to make this film to showcase the natural state's fly fishing scene. Arkansas holds some of the best trout fishing in the United States. It's very diverse, ever-changing, it's young, our fish are big, strong, and plentiful. They take every type of fly thrown, from a traditional streamer to the smallest of midges, dry flies, you name it.
Like when I think of trout fishing spots in the Ouachita, it's Little Missouri. You know, I learned how to fly fish for trout about 300 yards up that way with my dad and my granddad. And this is where it all started for me.
I think Arkansas is primed to explode in the fly fishing industry. I think it's a matter of time before we are the next best place to fly fish. People travel to Montana and out west and all the time, and those are special places, but Arkansas is some of the last best water to fly fish. You know, you can spend a fortune and travel everywhere over the United States, but if you skip Arkansas, you're missing out on some of the best fly fishing of your life.
This is such an amazing river to take somebody like a kid or somebody in your family or a friend that's never fly fished before and bring them here and teach them how to fly fish. Because this is probably one of the best rivers to get access to and wade. If you're willing to walk, you can find plenty of space. A whole host of things have happened here. My brother-in-law proposed to my sister out there on that island with a ring inside of a fly box. And we were all up here on the deck watching. I took my granddad out there to catch his last trout that he ever caught before his big stroke, and so yeah, there's a lot of stories here, a lot of emotions, a lot of family ties, and so that's why whenever you ask me what does this river kind of bring to mind and what does it mean, that's why family and heritage first come to my mind, because it started when I was a little guy, right up there, learned how to fly fish with my dad and granddad, and then here I am today.
I think all the people that you'll see on this film are one of a kind. They care truly about their rivers. They work them every day, constantly promoting the city of Cotter, Heber Springs, Murfreesboro, and Hot Springs. The Little Missouri River is a perfect little 7-mile wading river. It is beautiful at every turn and bend. And the trout may not be big, but they fight, and there's plenty of them. It's an awesome thing living in the Ouachitas because you have so many different species of fish all within an hour of hot springs, really. You can be up in the mountains fly fishing for smallmouth and cold water streams or trout in the same streams. You can be down in the plains fishing for carp. You can go below dams and fish those tailwaters where trout are not stocked regularly and fish for striper. You can go up on top of the lake. Lake Ouachita boasts freshwater flats. And so a number of these islands, you can go and park your boat and wade out 30, 40 feet in either direction of the island and fish where it drops off, where those bass and striper like to hang out and run shad around. It's an awesome experience fly fishing on Lake Ouachita.